Hello again, everyone. Welcome to 90s to Now. Of course, I am Jerry Strauss, and thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for sharing, subscribing, liking, being a part of our Facebook group. Of course, 90s to Now is the name of that group as well, and we are growing. We are doing big things, none bigger than what we're doing today, because we have one of your clearly absolute favorites out there. The reception for just the announcement that this man was going to be on the show was an explosion of emotion. So we're excited to finally be here in the moment. You know him from so many things, most of all, very clearly from Buffy the Vampire Slayer, but so many other worlds as well. James Marsters, thank you so much for connecting with us.
Thanks, Jerry. Thanks for having me, man. That's going to be fun.
It's going to be. And, you know, before we even get started, I just want to right off the bat mention that apparently by all the feedback, you're such a popular guest in so many different kinds of conventions, sci-fi conventions, pop culture conventions. We're talking a lot these days on this show about 90s Con, which is coming for the second year in a row to Hartford in Connecticut. And I know you're going to be a part of a Buffy cast reunion of sorts there. What is your mindset, honestly, because I know there's got to be excitement, but is there also just a little bit of trepidation? I mean, this is going to be wild.
No, I don't think I have any trepidation. I'm used to going to conventions and talking with fans. I respect the fact that they like Buffy, because I'm a fan of Buffy too. I think that it's an extraordinarily well-written show that actually had a really good message, which is don't give up. Life is hard. It is complicated and it hurts sometimes, but it's worth it. And I think that's a really worthy message. Surprising that it would be out on television, actually. I'm a subversive artist, and I was just tickled pink. We made all the right people angry with Buffy, because Buffy was pushing back against the lie that women can't fight back. And believe me, women can fight. I have the scars to prove it. I did a lot of stunts on Buffy, and I fought a lot of triple black belts. And so I'm not nervous about meeting with fans in Hartford. I don't know that I've been to Hartford, so I'm looking forward to seeing it.
Nice.
And yeah, who else is going to be there? This is exciting. I'm getting more excited.
Goodness. Off the top, I mean, cast reunions aplenty. Full House.
I'm not interested in Full House. I'm not interested in I'm a punk rocker. Who of Buffy?
I know there's a handful of you. I don't want to quote it. I want you guys to go to the website, go Google it, go check out their Facebook page and get the up-to-date names, because
good. And you know what? I don't mean to diss Saved by the Bell or any other show. I was really poor for the 90s. I didn't have a television set, and I have not seen that show, so I don't want to be mean to anybody. Yeah.
For anybody who lived through the 90s, I think it's fair to say that there's kind of something for everybody at this thing. So you guys are definitely going to have your, you guys, and there's a Charmed reunion as well, and there's definitely going to be some very devoted fans for your specific worlds that you guys represent from that era. So it should be crazy. It should be crazy. I'm curious, your convention experiences, like what are some things that you get? Because I have to believe even in 2023, there's got to be a small percentage of people who talk to you, and because they only know you from Buffy, are still surprised by the fact that you do not naturally have a British accent of any sort. Is that still something you encounter?
I tell him, I'm actually British, but I had to put on a fake accent to get along with Hollywood, because there's not a lot of work for us, there. No, I'm just like, fooled you. That's acting, Sorry. When I go to England, they're like, give us your sexy British accent. I'm like, what's wrong with the American one? They're like, it's not so hot, really. It's not so nice.
It takes all kinds. And James, we got all kinds of people sending all kinds of questions. So excited to get the opportunity to throw one at you. So I'm going to hit as many of these as I can rapid fire. Are you ready for this?
I am ready. All
right. Okay. Samantha Shatuk was the first one to post in. She wants to know, and this is something you probably get less often, so very cool. How was the experience working on Marvel's The Runaways?
It was amazing. Everyone involved was so nice and so talented. The producers were very experienced. It was just a really well-run show, and everyone felt safe. There's a lot of young people there, none of whom went sideways. Fame is a weird thing, and sometimes young people can. I know that I even kind of like got off my center for a little while with the intensity of what happened in Buffy. That did not happen to this cast. And it was a wonderful experience. The only thing that drove me crazy, the cast was like half very young people who played the runaways and half people my age who played the parents.
Right.
And the only thing that drove me crazy about the runaways is they were better actors than the parents. That drove me mad. Like we would think, oh, we did a really good job. We got a good scene in the can. And then we would watch the episode and it's like, oh, they're so much better than we are. It's terrible. It's not fair.
Marvel casting. It's their secret. That's their superpower, some may say. Matthew Volchio would like to know.
I wanted to say really quickly. Sorry. Really quickly. They would start the beginning of every season. The first day you would go in and a lawyer would talk to the entire company assembled in a theater, and they would explain all about what you do and what you don't do, who you touch and who you don't touch, what kind of jokes you say and what kind of jokes you don't say. And this is all coming out of Me Too. And I was just sitting there with the biggest smile on my face. Thank God, that we're doing this, because there are young people in this cast, and it's so important that they feel safe. It's so important that we have a good creative environment. A creative environment should be kind of like preschool. Where the child inside the artist can feel safe to come out and play, basically. And I've been part of too many sets where there was just shenanigans because people weren't really aware of how damaging that was, or they were and they didn't care. And to be part of, that's one of the things I loved about Runaways, was that it was safe, and they went out of their way to make it so. So anyway, on to Matthew.
Matthew said you should totally ask if he plans to tour New England with your band. Of course, we're talking about Ghost of the Robot. You've been on and off with this band for many years at this point. You've done, multiple recordings, and you've etched a career separate from your acting career just unto itself in the musical world. Is that on the horizon for you in 2023 to get back to some more touring?
We are playing Los Angeles actually on March the 14th at the Mint. Okay. And there are tickets still available. The Mint is not the biggest club. It's about 300, but tickets are going fast. But if anyone wants to come, if anyone's listening from Los Angeles, the Mint, it's on Pico, and it's going to be an amazing show. Rehearsals are going really well, and we're in the middle of producing our 6th album, which is also going phenomenally well. We wanted to get 13 tracks. We had 3 days in the studio, and that's just insane to try to get that much recorded. And we thought if we just got the drum tracks, actually, we all have Pro Tools at home, and we can get the rest later. But we also decided, screw it, man. Let's just play together. Let's just in one take. Let's just see if we can get the drums, the bass, the guitar, and lead vocals. Let's just see. Maybe we know the songs well enough to do that. And we just slammed through all the songs, and we got like 85% of the stuff done in 3 days. 13 tracks. I mean, that's insane. But what we got is a really energetic, cohesive album that's a little bit dirty and a little bit like our original album. And I just couldn't be happier about it. It's just, I can't wait for it to come out. And we're going to be playing that full album at the Mint, plus other songs from our previous album. So it's going to be a good time.
I'm curious because, we've talked to a lot of people on this show and otherwise who are in the acting world, who also, do music on the side and are very passionate about it. And I almost wonder, like, the way I think about it, not doing either of those things in life is if you love a certain food, if you love pizza is your favorite food, you still have to eat other things in the mix in order to appreciate that pizza. Now, obviously, you're very passionate about, acting and all of your voiceover work and everything you do. Is music sort of that secret sauce, that other ingredient that keeps both of them special, as opposed to just kind of doing the same thing all the time?
Yeah, it's like cross training, I've been playing in bars since I was 13 years old. And back then I was only playing James Taylor. I was a cover band of one and did only James Taylor. So I took it very seriously. But it was a great way to get into bars when you're 13 years old, you know, frankly.
Oh, yeah.
And so, you know, it tickles me because we'll sound check at some big club, either in Europe or in the US. And, you know, the sound person knows all the music. They've heard everybody. And they always go, oh, hi, Mr. Television, and whoever the hell's with you today. No respect at all. I get it. And then we sound check, and the sound person's always like, oh, wow, this is going to be a good show. You guys can play. This is great. And then after the show, very often they're like, dude, you rock, man. You want to hang out? Here's my CD. We should play sometime. And so we have to earn it. Or there'll be like a lot of women in the audience because of Buffy, you know, and there's a lot of boyfriends in the audience, and the boyfriends are like this, like that. And we always say, if we can get the boyfriends bopping by the end of the show, if we can win those guys over, then we know that we've got a good set, and we most often do. Yeah, yeah. Awesome. So it is. I love performance art. You know, I like to get in front of an audience. I think that there's a great conversation that can be had between a performer and the audience. With theater, it is the conversation starter is the script. And with music, the conversation starter is the music, but it's actually what you're going for is an actual conversation. And that's when it really gets really fun for everybody involved. If there's more than just, if you're just playing music and you're there and you don't even really interact with the audience, it's good, but it's much better if you use that music to say hello and how do you feel, and it's nonverbal. But yeah, I love it very much.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Got another Matthew Whiting wants to know, besides Spike, what is one character that was killed off on the show, of course, Buffy, that you were upset to see go?
Yeah, Victor Stein on Hawaii Five-0. Damn it. Like, we shot in Hawaii, man. We was put up at the nicest hotel, the Hilton Resort on Waikiki Beach, like right on the beach. Everyone that you said, oh, you know, hello, sir, what brings you to Hawaii? Oh, I'm filming Hawaii Five-0. Oh, sir, come on in. You know, it was fabulous. Alex McLaughlin, who's played McGarrett, was such a great guy. He's a stunt man in Australia, certified, and I'm a certified stunt choreographer for stage in the US. So we do a lot of our own stunts, and we would just wail on each other. And one time I go in for season 2, and the gag is that he leaps up. We're at a prison yard, so it's on concrete. He leaps up and double plants me, and we both fall back on the concrete. And the director's like, okay, I'm going to call action. Alex jumps up. I yell, cut, Alex, and that's all we're doing. Okay? Because Alex now has a separated shoulder from all the stunts he was doing in the previous season, and we're beginning the next one. Yeah. And he's like, rightio, boss. And the director turns around. Alex goes, screw that, buddy. Get ready. I'm like, Alex, I'm not padded. I don't have a gator on. Oh, screw it. And sure enough, action. Alex just way up in the air, plants me hard. We go through a flying back. It's a great shot. It's in the show. The director's like, ah.
What about if we flip this question the other way? Was there any character besides yourself, besides Spike, on Buffy who died at some point that you, just from a creative perspective, were sad to see go? Either sad to see the character go, sad to see the performer have to go with them. Was there any death on that show that
Amber Benson, who played Willow's girlfriend. Yeah. Tara. Yeah. Tara? Jesus, it's so hard with that name. Yeah, I just thought she was an incredible character. I absolutely love Amber personally. She directed me in a movie that she wrote and directed and produced and starred in. We starred in together, and I think it's one of my best performances. She's such a good director, and she's such a good writer. She's really successful in Hollywood as a writer right now. Okay. So she's fine, but I just thought she left a real hole when she was killed off. I did not understand why that had to happen. I think it's important to kill off characters that the audience loves, actually that means that the rest of the cast are not safe, that danger means something. And so I get it in theoretically, but not her, man. God. Yeah, that one hurt. Yeah.
You know, I'm curious, coming from a theater background as you do, and being so intrinsically involved and kind of being part of your own theater company, does that kind of give you a background where you look at the world you're playing in, where, you know, when you're on Buffy, you're looking at the content and you're looking at Buffy, and you really do kind of have you feel like you have more of a stake in the creative. You're interested in which way the direction goes, as opposed to someone who maybe doesn't have that background and just kind of shows up and says, okay, this is what the script says, here we go. You know, you obviously are very much into the story of the Buffy-verse, and the fact that you even continue to write comic books, and like you were a part of continuing that story.
Yeah.
Do you think that kind of goes back to your origins and just being more part of the fabric of whatever show or movie or world you're living in?
Yeah. No one's ever asked me that, by the way, Jerry. That's a really good question. Yeah, when you're doing theater, it's really important that you know what story you're telling and what the theme of that story is, because there's no editor. You're a storyteller, basically. And as long, you know, like the set could fall down, the costumes could burn, the playwright could have had a heart attack, the lights could have gone dark, and as long as you can bring up enough light that the actors are visible and the actors know how to tell a story, you can sell tickets for money and the audience won't ask for a refund. You know, so it's all on the actors. So you have to tell the story. So you have to be aware. In film and television, you are not a storyteller. It's a big mistake to try to do that. You are just an ingredient that an editor is going to edit and chop up later to tell a story.
Right.
But it's a fun exercise to know what the story is, what the theme of the story is, and sometimes it can kind of give you maneuverability. I was arguing once. I went into the producer's office when I was doing Witches of East End, and I played a horrible character who was coming in, a bunch of witches, and they've run away from their home realm where the lead witch was the heir to the throne, and they've left that place. And I work for the king, her father, and I'm trying to get them to come back. And I'm doing horrible things. And I go to the producers, I'm like, you know, I really think that I'm a hero, not a villain. And he's like, what? I'm like, yeah, because back home in this realm, we don't have an heir anymore. It's a feudal society, which means there's a civil war going on now. There's no other heir. So everyone else is vying for the throne. The king is too old, and there are babies dying in the streets. And I'm here to get your lead character to go back home and do her damn job and save all the babies. And I don't care if I have to kill some people in this realm. I really don't care at all. I am here to save my own people. Mm-hmm. And the guy was like, wow, you really thought this through. I'm like, yeah, I really have. And he's like, nope, you're just evil. And I was like, oh God, okay, fine. But I just kind of secretly kept that mindset to myself, you know, like it still works. You know, I can be ruthless in the show. I can explain myself to myself. Yeah. Other times it really works really well. The same thing was true with Runaways. We talked about it a little bit before, but I played a character who was killing a teenager once a year to keep an alien fed. Mm-hmm. And I went to the producers and I was like, look, I think I'm the hero, not the villain. Like, what? And I said, well, I'm playing a character I'm a genius. I'm a scientist. I've spent my life trying to find alternate energy, fusion, or whatever you want, to save the human race from global warming. And I've hit middle age and I failed in my whole life quest. And then along comes an alien who says he'll give me that technology, but I have to keep him alive long enough for him to get it and give it to me. And so I'm saying, look, I'll kill a teenager. I will hate myself. I won't be able to sleep. I'll take that on as long as the human race can survive. And if I'm found out and everyone spits on my grave, fine. Call me a dog if you need to. I want you guys to live. I want my son and his kids to grow up in the real world. And I think that's actually heroic. And they took that, and the character was supposed to die after 7 episodes. And they decided to keep him around because he was a more three-dimensional character at that point.
And it's something,
So
I mean, that's
sometimes it
kind of
works.
a similar story to Spike, right? I mean, Spike was not intended to be around as long as he was. Were you at all involved in kind of where that character would go as time went on?
They didn't take my advice with regards to storytelling, dialogue, or plot or anything. However, they told me that I was a soulless vampire who didn't love or care for anything or anyone, and I was just a metaphor for the challenges that one has to overcome in adolescence or in life, basically. And I was like, rightio. But see, they had told me that I was going to die in between 5 and 10 episodes. I was a poor father who had moved down to Los Angeles to try to feed my family.
Yeah.
And I thought, if I play it the way they want me to play it, they're going to kill me off in 5. If I play it differently, if I find the love, then if you find the love in storytelling, you find the way to connect with the audience. And it can be love denied, love betrayed. It doesn't have to be, cuddly love, but love's got to be in there somewhere. And so I found the love, and the love was for Drusilla in the beginning. And so I undercut the theme it wasn't greed. It was really just being a dad and wanting to make rent and pay for diapers and doctors and stuff.
Wow.
But I ended up kind of having them re-examine Spike as more of a gray character and not just a black hat villain.
That's cool.
But
That's a cool story. Let's get back to some questions here. Maria Kukanen would like to know, how does playing Spike compare to your other acting jobs? In other words, which part would you say thus far in your career would you consider your favorite, your signature role?
Spike. I think it is the best written. And I have been really lucky to be part of a lot of projects that were well written.
Yeah.
But that one was just phenomenally well written. I mean, like they had writers who were young and hungry at that time and extremely talented, but they didn't have a long resume. They were found fresh, to work on the show. They're now some of the biggest creators in Hollywood. But I worked with them when they were starting out, and they would, one of these writers would write the script. And then they would take that script and cut it up and say, scenes 1, 7, 5, 23, 72, and 123 is going to be to this writing duo. And all the writers teamed up. They had another writer they always worked with. And they farmed and rewrote the entire script. And then after that process was done, Joss would go and sprinkle his magic and do another rewrite. And the thing is that the writers were being asked to come up with their worst day, the day that they don't talk about, the day that keeps them up at night, their dark, dirty secret, and then slap fangs on top of that painful experience and tell the whole world. Slap fangs, metaphorically speaking. And so it was an act of vulnerability and courage and bravery, an immense amount from the writers. And they had all of the exposure. But I would go on the set and I would say to one of these writers at the beginning of filming, I'd say, great script. And they would say, yeah, great. I wish I wrote it. So they had all of the exposure, but none of the pride, because it was so much rewritten. I mean, they were rewriting everyone else's script. I mean, it was a group effort, like, but that process just yield that egoless process, that brave process, created something really, really spectacular. And so I love acting. It doesn't really matter what I'm playing, or if it's late at night, or if they're throwing rocks at me. I just love it. Action comes and I'm just like, heaven, but Buffy was special. Buffy was just so well written. Yeah.
We've got a great follow-up question. Richard W. Jacquard would like to know, what did Spike teach you, and how did you develop as an actor as a person through him?
Spike taught me how to act for film. I came to town very proud of a toolbox that I'd amassed for theater, and I had worked very hard to do it, and I was considered one of the hireable actors, both in Chicago and Seattle, where I worked mostly. I don't think I was considered to be like the big bright star in either market, but you have to work hard just to be one of the group that is considered that he's one of the guys, you know, he's one of the go-to guys that we use, and we tell stories around here with these people. It's a short list. And you get a big toolbox to do that. So I came back down to Los Angeles and quickly realized that none of those tools were really applicable. Like almost none of them really worked for film or television. And I realized that when I was working with Tony Head. And I remember when I first shot with him, I thought he was half asleep. He was mumbling. And I was like, would you wake up? I'm going to mop the floor with you, man. And then I saw the episode, and I wasn't interested in watching Spike at all. I was just waiting to cut to the interesting, honest character, Giles, because Spike was kind of theatrical. It was a little bit of a lie. And I realized, wow, I've got to relearn all of this. And so I went to the school of Anthony Head, and I just watched him. He didn't know I was going to the school of Anthony Head. He was probably wondering why I was staring at him all the time. But I would come in even when I wasn't working and just sit on the side of the set and watch that man work. Yeah. I think he was the best actor on the show. And I noticed what he did and mostly what he didn't do. And he was not trying to perform something. He was trying to experience something that a camera can document. That's the primary difference, is to give myself a real experience, to do something that I didn't plan on, or better yet, that I'm not even aware that I'm doing. Yeah. And then just let the camera film that. And that's entirely different than stage, which is it's a plan that you take a month or 6 weeks to come up with, and then you execute that plan in front of an audience. Gotcha. So it's a whole different thing. Yeah.
Samantha Robbins wants to know, if you could have been cast as any other character on Buffy, who would you have liked it to be? Who do you think
the other
you would have
character
excelled?
besides Spike would have been Spike? Are you kidding me? Jesus, there's no other character. We get that question sometimes when we're in a group at a convention, and most people say the other character would be Spike that they'd want to play. You know? Right. And I'm like, well, I already have it. Ha. I'm not. No way. That was the best character. That's the whole damn thing. There's no way. I would go into a clinical depression if I had to play any other character than Spike.
Save Hole by City David. I don't know what that means, but he wants to know, what was your favorite pairing? Yourself with Drusilla or yourself with Buffy?
I don't know about favorite. They were very different. When I was with Drusilla, I was evil. I was soulless. The great thing about playing a villain is that you don't really care about other people's feelings. You don't really doubt yourself. Self-doubt is what heroes do. You know, that self-reflection and taking stock, all of that stuff is how you build a good person. A bad person is just like, I'm right, and I'm doing it. You know, there's no doubt at all. And so it's very easy to play a villain. You just have to not care about people. Just go get what you want. Yeah. When you play, by the time I was working with Sarah and paired with Buffy, you know, Spike had a lot of self-doubt, a lot of self-examination. He was more in keeping with the other characters on the show. And so it was very painful. So I'm very proud of it. Very proud of all of it. And I'm very proud that we were able to take that character and move him into less of a villain. But it wasn't easy. It wasn't as fun, I'll be honest. It was more painful.
Well, Brianne Barnes would like to know, what was your favorite scene to film and your favorite Spike quote?
My favorite scene to film was the one where I kicked Angel's ass on his own show. That was too sweet for words. I didn't tell David that day, but yeah, that was really pretty sweet. And I think there's so many scenes that are so good. Favorite quote, "Out for a walk." Yeah, because it is well remembered, but I wasn't aware that it was a funny line. I was just really heartbroken and really because Buffy catches him kind of like peeping Toming her, like he's like hanging out outside her house trying to get a peek on Buffy, and she catches him, and he's so embarrassed, he's humiliated, and he's kind of like, how dare you ask me what I'm doing here? You know what I'm doing here. I'm in love with you. Out for a walk. bitch. You know, like that was really painful. That was a really horrible moment that I was experiencing. But I think because it's real, it becomes funny when you watch it.
Yeah, yeah. Sean Cruz wants to get to the bottom of things right now. He says, in all caps, by the way, was Buffy in love with him or not? He's been waiting a long time for this answer from the horse's mouth. So from your perspective, was it real love from Buffy's perspective?
No. I think that if you read the comics and they are canon, Buffy and Spike get together.
Mm-hmm.
They are a couple. They are the couple. They're in love, but not at the time of for the time of the series. One of my favorite lines is when at the very end when Buffy says, "I love you," and he says, "No, you don't, but thanks for saying it," because I think it's the first time that Spike is self-aware. He's basically saying, "You can't love me, Buffy. I have done horrible things, and I'm only starting to come to terms with that. I'm a bad person, and you're a very good person. Now, you may be attracted to me because I'm super hot. You may feel sorry for me. You may sense that there is more to me than a villain. I get that. You're certainly attracted, but love, no. I don't. I am beneath you. It's true, and I am planning to go out into the world and figure out what to do with this soul of mine and grow up. And once I do, I'm coming back for you, man. And I'll win your heart." And he does. But at that moment, it's not yet. So yeah, eventually. So yes and no. Eventually, yes, they do fall in love, but that's later during the comics.
All right. We are within about 4 minutes of this thing wrapping up. We're going to try to power through 2 more questions.
Okay, but real quick plug. Just go on my Instagram, Real James Marsters. Hit the link in the bio if you want tickets to the show on the 14th. Okay, I'm all yours.
Awesome. Okay. Perfect. Ashley Laxton would like to know if Spike hadn't looked like Billy Idol or vice versa, which iconic performer or style from history would he have wanted him to look like? Was there an intentional correlation between your look and Billy Idol?
No, they said that they wanted the Sid Vicious the Vampire set. I was like, no, you don't. They're like, yeah, you do. I'm like, okay, I'll give you Sid so you know you don't want him. This is Sid Vicious. Mm-hmm. Girls like me because I've got a beautiful face and a nice figure. I said, Sid was an idiot, man. Sid didn't play on the album. He couldn't really play bass very well. He ruined the tour. He broke up the band. Don't you want Johnny Rotten, man? And they were like, "Oh, for God's sake, we want punk rock. What? Just give us punk." I was like, "Okay, I'll give you Johnny Rotten." And so they tried to dye my hair black, like the Pistols had, and that didn't look good on me. And they were like, "Sorry, there's only 2 colors for true punk rock. There's only the bone white or jet black, and all of the colored stuff is glam rock. That's not punk. So we're gonna have to bleach you, and we only have 2 days. So you're gonna go through a lot of pain. Here we go." And so they went blonde just because the black didn't look very good. Yeah, and that hurt. Yeah.
Final question. We made it. Kristen Bailey Height would like to know, would you ever consider a reunion or a reboot of Buffy or Angel if it was ever greenlit? I assume they would mean some sort of revival where we're catching up with all the characters in 2023-ish or whatever. Is that something that'd be on the table for you?
That'd be fun. You need to spend a significant portion of the budget making me look like I did back when we were filming, because vampires don't age. It is technically possible now, but that would be fairly expensive. The other option is that if I'm just in vamp face the entire time, like, Buffy, I don't know what's going on. My face is hideous. There was a thing floated before the pandemic of a new Slayer for a new generation, which I thought was brilliant. And I think COVID kind of sidelined that, and I'm hoping very much that it comes back.
And
I think that's the way to go.
So would it be sort of new cast, but also trickling into the old guard?
Yeah, the old guard could come in, but it is a new Slayer. It's a new generation. We said it in the beginning of every show. Yeah. And I think there's plenty of demons to go out and slay these days. So
awesome. And you're going to be slaying on stage very soon, and you're going to be slaying at 90s Con and everywhere else that you go. We got a minute. Why don't you plug that where you can get tickets for your show again? while we
Yeah, go on Instagram, Real James Marsters, and hit the bio, and you can get tickets for the show. They're $22. March the 14th here in Los Angeles. And I figured out, I cut the crap out of my thumb. Check this out. But I found out how to put a Band-Aid on it so I could still hold a pick and it doesn't bounce out of my hand. This is genius. I'm so happy about this. I tested it out today. It's working. But yeah, rehearsals are going really well. It's going to be a really good show. Yeah.
Awesome. And we look forward to seeing you there. We look forward to seeing you on the East Coast at 90s Con and everything else you're doing next year. And I'm sure a lot of people watching are continuing to watch you all the time on Buffy and all the other great things that you've already done. So we're excited for your past, your present, your future. And thanks for taking the time, man. It's been awesome.
Yeah, my pleasure, Jerry. It was really fun.
Yeah,
really
it's
good
been
interview.
great. And thank you guys for checking us out here on 90s Con. Once again, of course, share, subscribe, join our Facebook group at 90s to Now. And we will see you next time on 90s to Now. Thanks, James.